Hi, good morning. Let us continue our topic regarding with environmental protection laws. Already we studied various laws regarding environmental protection. In 2001, the Batteries, that is Management and Handling Rules Act established on 2001 cover every manufacturer, importer, assembler, reconditioner, dealer, auctioneer, consumer and bulk consumer involved in manufacturing, processing, selling, purchasing and using of batteries or components so as to regulate and ensure the environmentally safe disposal of used batteries. So 2001 Act, this act was mainly regarding with batteries, their production, their consumption and bulk use, selling, purchasing, etc. Then 2002, the noise pollution, the regulation and control, then amendment rules, certain the terms and conditions which are imperative to prevent noise pollution. So 2002, this Noise Pollution Act to control noise and permit use of loudspeaker, music system or public address system during the night. So we cannot use public address system and loudspeaker in the night. Then 2002, the Biological Diversity Act was enforced to preserve biological diversity for sustainable use. The next topic, forest and wildlife. So, the earlier laws we studied regarding with the environment protection as a part of the water and air. Then in 1927, the Indian Forest Act and amendment in 1984 is one of the many surviving colonial statutes. It has been evolved to encompass the laws connected to the forest, the transit of forest produce and the amount of duty to be levied on timber and the forest produce. So, a duty must pay when we are consuming the forest resources. In 1972, the Wildlife Protection Act rules 1973 and amendment in 1991. Amendment means changes in the laws, in the articles, and deals with the protection of birds and animals with all sort of issues related to it. So 1972 Act, it is implemented in 1973, amended in 1991. It gives much importance for the protection of birds and animals. Then 1980 Forest Conservation Act and Rules 1981 provides for the protection and preservation of the forest. Then water. In 1974, the Water Prevention and Control Pollution Act provides for establishing an institutional structure for averting and preventing water pollution. 1977, the Water Prevention and Control of Pollution (CESS) Act provides for the levy and collection of fees or cess on the industries and local authorities consuming water. Then Air Act 1948, the Factories Act and amendment in 1987 was the first act to show the concern for the working condition and working environment of the workers. Then 1981, the Air Prevention and Control Pollution Act provides the monitoring prevention of air pollution. It empowers the CPCB to execute this act. This was already studied. Then 1982, the Atomic Energy Act deals with the radioactive waste. 1987, Air Prevention and Control of Pollution Amendment Act endorsed the Central and State Pollution Control Board with the power to tackle with the grave emergencies of air pollution. Then next topic, environmental assessment and accounting. An environmental assessment is an analysis and evaluation of your surroundings. This may include plants, animals, air, earth, and water. When doing an assessment of the site or an area, the community analyzed how many barrels of contaminants, dangerous or toxic materials exist, what are the present conditions of the pollution, and how much it is contaminated, how much it is serious, etc. Exist are the contents of the barrels and how long the contaminated had been there. After analyzing the site, they evaluated the possible impact that the contaminants could have on human health and the environment. So, after the analyzing, the department will take possible measures to avoid the contaminants and which affect the human health and environment. After all of the information is gathered, the assessment is usually presented as a report. So, after analyzing, they make evaluation and they will make a report and they will submit to the government. Then next, environmental planning. It is a process of identifying. Environmental planning is a process of identifying, assessing, and coming up with a solution to environmental issues. The goal of environmental planning is to improve the quality of the environment and the health and the welfare of people. Environmental planning in a community can be approached in a number of different ways. First one, appointment a planning team, then set goals for future, then identify the community need, society need, then identify possible solution, then put the plan together and carry out your plan and evaluate your plan. And environmental planning is the process of facilitating decision making to carry out land development with the consideration given to natural environment, social, political, economic, and governance factors and provides a holistic framework to achieve sustainable outcome. Planning is also important when it comes to protecting the environment so it is sustainable for generations to come. However, the environmental planning and decision making have many considerations because of the complexities of nature and varying needs and desires of the society. In this lesson, we will explore different aspects and considerations that must go into environmental planning and decision making. Environmental planning and components. Environmental planning is the process of evaluating how social, political, economic, and governing factors affect the natural environment and considering development. The goal of environmental planning is to come up with win-win situation for society and the environment. With the successful environmental planning, society wins by being able to use the area in productive ways, and the environment wins by being able to sustain itself for future generation also. There are three components of environment planning that must be considered. First is the current status of the natural environment. This component will take into consideration the existing state of the area to be developed. This may be included evaluating the existing use, present use, features and natural resource of the land as well as existing infrastructure and building. The second component of environmental planning is vision. About future. This involves setting goals and measurable objectives and taking into consideration rules, regulations, laws and needs of the society. The third component is implementation. This involves putting the vision into action and considers the material, personnel and technology that may be needed to carry out the plan. Environmental planning is a complex study because it is not only has to consider the complexities of natural environment but also needs the and desires of humans. Therefore, environmental planners need to understand human decision making process to best manage the relationship between humans and environment. Environmental planning has long fascinated both physical and human geographers as it provides the statutory instruments for changing land use designation, for instance, protecting national park from certain type of development. We should protect national park and national reserves from the development. It is also a key forum for mediating between those with different views of the future for particular areas, most notably with regard to whether or not allow development on a particular piece of land, and if allowed, what kind of development should be permitted. Necessarily, environmental planning involves dealing with a range of different geographies, embracing both political boundaries of national and local government and various functional environmental geographies such as river catchment, ecosystem, or landscape character. It is important to recognize the practice of environmental planning have evolved substantially over time, but although it is manifesting themselves in different ways in different states and nations. Okay, so today we discussed about different laws regarding from 1990s regarding environment protection and environmental planning and assessment. Okay, thank you.